This time we're talking about virus. Okay, so let's start off with the harsh part. So the harsh part is diseases caused by a virus. We have rabies, HIV, the flu, common cold, Ebola, polio, warts, herpes, chickenpox, smallpox, measles, COVID-19. I could have added, but I chose not to. All right, so these are all diseases plus many more caused by a virus. We could add mumps. We could add measles. There are all kinds of diseases caused by a virus. So let's talk about the structure real quick. Now, this is only one kind of structure of a virus. We're going to get into other structures soon. But this one is of a phage. All right. This one, they used to call it a spacecraft. It's got this interesting capsule of a head. This is technically the tail. And then we have tail-like fibers that look like feet. It looks like a little spacecraft, I guess you could call it. Here are some of the other ones. There are crystals, cylinders, looks like a spring, kind of like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, sphere, or, one of those balls that you can get from, any of the amusement parks, and then again, the phage. So here it is. They kind of look like they're running. We could probably make a meme for him. So these are the 4 different structures of viruses. All right, here's a virus fact. They depend on the host cell they infect to replicate. They're not a living thing. So we could go back and forth about living things all the time, but viruses do not have all of the living things' characteristics at all times. They need to have a host in order for them to be able to reproduce. They exist as a protein coat that encloses DNA or RNA. And while in the environment, the virus is inactive. So they don't say it's dead. They don't say it's living. They say it's active or inactive. So how does a virus make you sick? Well, it gets into your body. Many of the times it gets into your body through your orifices. So a cut in your skin, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, those are all places that it can get into. And then what it does is it injects into a cell. So your cells become this virus factory. And the new DNA instructs the cell to make more viruses, which then burst out of the cell and they kill it. So it's really strange how it works. But when you look at this, all of these once upon a time, these viruses, one of them went into the cell and then it multiplied, and then it multiplied so much that they burst out of the cell when it broke open. So let's look here. So here we have the Great Pandemic of 1917. So this was the flu. It was the particularly deadly strain of the flu virus, and it began spreading around the world. So you've probably heard about this one in the news. So by the end of 1919, the flu had killed more than 50 million people worldwide. So they're calling the COVID-19 like the pandemic similar to the flu of 1917. More than 500 million people had been infected. Called the 1918 flu, it was one of the world's worst epidemics in human history. Scientists are still working to understand what made this strain of flu so deadly. So if you look, they had masks over their faces then. This is in the textbook that you guys would have had if we were still in school. So it says, you probably know someone who had the flu or who has had the flu. But did you know that many different influenza viruses cause the flu? Most of these viruses are not very harmful, and healthy people usually recover quickly from the flu. Sometimes, however, a new influenza virus develops causing serious illness. A flu pandemic occurs when a new flu virus spreads to many people around the world. Just so happens that you are in a pandemic, but you're not in a pandemic with a flu. You're in the pandemic with COVID-19. So even down here where it says modern threats, I find it ironic. It says new strains of the flu virus are constantly developing. Scientists monitor outbreaks of new strains closely. The virus that causes the outbreak is studied so that vaccines can be made. So back in 2009, there was the H1N1 flu, and that was one that went around the world and became a pandemic because there was a lot of people who then passed away because of that particular strain. There wasn't a vaccine made fast enough for that one that year, and the number of people who were sick became very high. So now that we've been in quarantine for this long, trying to make sure that nobody gets more sick than we already have been as a nation and as the world. That was one of the best things that they did back in 1917 through 1919 was for people to stay home so it stopped the spread of the virus. Now, there are some similarities and there are some differences between bacteria and viruses. Can they make enzymes? Yes, they both can make enzymes. Can they cause disease? Yes, they can both make and cause diseases. Bacteria, though, according to this, are larger than viruses. Living attributes. Bacteria, living organism. Over here, viruses considered living and non-living. Some people would like to say they're considered neither. So it all depends on the type of scientist you are. Are they beneficial? Bacteria, some beneficial bacteria. Remember, there's bacteria in the gut, and that helps to digest your food. There are bacteria in the environment, and those are very good. Viruses are not beneficial. However, a particular virus may be able to destroy brain tumors. I find that to be beneficial. But you know what? If brain tumors weren't there to begin with, then we wouldn't need that virus. Ribosomes, are they present in bacteria? Yes. Are they present in a virus? No. So there's a lot of things about bacteria and viruses that are not the same. So remember, when they're a virus factory, that is called a lytic cycle. And that is when they get into one cell, that virus injects the DNA into your one cell. And when that one cell, maybe it's a couple of virus cells getting into you, and they're going into one of your cells. And then that cell replicates with that new virus cell, and it is getting filled with this brand new virus cell, and it's getting fuller and fuller and fuller until it explodes with a whole bunch of these new virus cells. All right, that's when it says it bursts out of the cell and it killed that first cell and explodes all more of those virus cells. All right, this is called the lytic cycle. I just want you to make sure that you understand that. And again, here is some of the viruses. Now, technically, this is a picture of HIV leaving the host cell. All right, so that is the information we have on viruses. Thank you.